everyone. Welcome back to episode 67 of Sooner Girl Sports Pod. And I cannot wait for you to hear my interview with the amazing Ralford and Maggie Mullings of OU Track. They are both throwers for our track and field program, and they have a awesome story how Ralford came here from Jamaica. He's an Olympian. Maggie is OU DNA. Her parents both played sports at Oklahoma, and cannot wait for you guys to hear my conversation with them and talk about their track and field season. Also, on this episode, I have a special guest to talk about the Bedlam Diamond Sports with my husband, Eric, who is a Polk fan. So can't wait for you guys to hear that one. But before we get started today, let's thank our sponsors. Marvin's Place, a fine art gallery and listening room located in the Depot District in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Come experience amazing artwork. And on Friday nights, visit the listening room, an intimate and unplugged venue. We host singer and songwriters on Friday evenings from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Relax with a glass of wine or craft beer and enjoy some wonderful music. You can find out more, including links to all of their social media, their music calendar, and all artwork and jewelry that is available at the gallery on their website at marvinsplace.gallery. Also, thank you to Therapy to Go in Ardmore, the funnest place in town to drive through for a drink, and you don't even have to get out of your car. They have a large variety of spirits as well as fountain drinks and snacks, and you can find them on Facebook and Instagram at Therapy to Go Ardmore. And be sure and stop in and tell them that Sooner Girl Sports Pod sent you for a free gift. Okay, I don't have a lot to report on the injury front, which is always excellent news. But thanks to Dr. Jason Linen that I had on last week's episode to get caught up on some injuries that we were dealing with in Sooner Nation. So it was great to have him on last week for the first time since the conclusion of football season. But as much as I love talking to Dr. Linen, I also love not talking to him because that means we don't have a lot going on. I did want to mention, I will talk more about this in the gymnastics segment coming up in the Sooner headlines of the week, but our gymnast Addison Fata had a wrist sprain that she suffered during practice last week before the national championship. Unfortunately, she was slated to compete in the all-around, but was unable to do that due to that wrist injury. She was only able to compete on the beam, which she did excellent on, but Faith Torres was able to step up and take her place in the all-around competition, and we will talk more about that here soon. But I did want to mention, for those that missed it, maybe you wondered where Addison Fata was during that competition. It is because she was out with that wrist sprain. So obviously their season has concluded, so they are on to their off season. So hopefully her injury will heal just fine and she'll be ready to go for next season. A quick update on where you can find me this week at Sooner Sports. The only event I am attending this coming week is on Friday, April the 24th. I will be at the softball game versus Georgia that evening with a couple of friends. So I have standing room only tickets. I usually stand on the third base line. So if you are out and about at the softball game, I would love to see you there. Come by and say hello and introduce yourself. I love meeting new friends, which I was able to meet quite a few this past week, and I just love it when people recognize me, come say hello, introduce themselves, make that connection from social media, from supporting the podcast. It truly means more to me than you know. So if you are out and about Friday evening and you see me, I hope that you come and say hello. Okay, on to our Sooner headlines of the week. Just a reminder for football, the NFL draft is coming up this Thursday on April the 3rd. So it will be interesting to see where a lot of our guys are drafted. This is a 3-day event, obviously. And so I have a feeling we'll have quite a few that are drafted over that period of time. So looking forward to seeing where our Sooners land. Also, in case you missed it, Owen Heineke is back. The NCAA had previously denied his request for another year of college football due to that 15 minutes of lacrosse he played at Ohio State back in 2021. However, this was taken to court in Norman last Thursday. Thad Balkman, the judge, he adjudicated like a champion that day for sure. We are so glad that that has worked out for Owen Heineke. If you weren't at the spring game or you haven't seen on social media, Owen Heineke did not play in the spring game. He's been around at practice just voicing support and being a leader for the guys. However, he has been obviously unable to participate in any practices up until now. But immediately following that ruling, he was eligible to get back onto the field and practice. So he did not participate in the spring game. However, he was obviously there for support for his team on the sidelines. He ran out of the tunnel by himself to the tune of Many Men, playing over the speakers. And that song, I think, is going to be that third quarter into the fourth quarter song for the team going forward for quite some time, I do believe. But it was great to see him running on that field, to get that warm welcome by Sooner Nation, and just to see him being a part of that team. The spring game, just a short recap, there was an attendance of 31,407 on Saturday. Again, Heineke didn't play, but he ran onto the field, embraced Kip Lewis to that solo entrance. It was just truly a really cool moment, especially given everything that he has gone through the last few months. I think one of the most noticeable things that we took from the spring game, for those who were there in attendance, and maybe you've read up and seen some video and stuff on social media, it looks like, hey, we had a run game, and that's an incredible thing to see. Our freshman running back, Zephan Walker, turned heads in that spring game. If you didn't know who he was before, you certainly do now. But he finished the day with 8 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown. It was a really, really solid outing for him. Just truly incredible to see. I mean, we would have been beyond thrilled to have a regular running contributor in the game with those type of yardage last year for sure. He broke free for a 37-yard gain and added a 15-yard touchdown run. Just a great performance from him as a freshman. His 37-yard run would have been Oklahoma's 4th longest run last season. So that goes to show how our run game was lacking, in case you forgot, last season. But we have a lot to hope and look forward to this coming season in the run game. So very excited about that. Also, Rocky Beers, very impressive. He had 4 receptions for 65 yards. Jasir Rogers, 5 receptions for 70 yards. Danny Okoye, 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Omarion Robinson, 7 tackles. And John Mateer and his senior redshirt wide receiver Isaiah Satanga connected for a 50-yard reception in the first half. And that was my second favorite play of the game, right behind Zephan Walker. Also, you may have noticed our center, Jake Michaela, looks like he has put on quite a bit of weight since we saw him back in December. And he has. Venables said that he dropped down to about 270 after dealing with his infection that cost him the final 2 games of the season. But he's gained all that weight back. And Venables remarked that he has had a monster offseason. So shout out to him. He looks really good. It's good to see him looking good and healthy and putting that weight back on for sure. And Liam Evans kicked a field goal, a 50-yarder during the game as well. Trace Rudd missed a 58-yarder, but it was a daggum good kick. It was probably the best missed field goal that I've ever seen, if that makes any sense. But truly a lot of promising things came out of the spring game from what we've seen. Now, it is important to note that our offense was going up against our second string defense, but still just important to point that out. However, just a lot of promising things coming forward from that game. And as this episode drops on Wednesday, April the 22nd, it's only 135 days until kickoff, so it will be here before we know it. A few notes on our men's basketball team in the NBA. Good luck in the playoffs to our former Sooners, Austin Reeves with the Lakers and Buddy Hield with the Atlanta Hawks. Now, you may remember Austin Reeves is currently still out with an injury, but he should hopefully be back in the next few weeks. Also, our Thunder started their playoff run in Oklahoma City this past weekend against the Suns. So just truly looking forward to a great NBA playoff season from our Oklahoma City Thunder, of course, and our former Sooners in the playoffs as well. For our men's basketball, there's been a lot of shuffling going on with the transfer portal, of course. We have our incoming freshman Gage Mayfield, a big name we've got coming in to look forward to. It's also been announced this past week Kai Rogers is returning and Xavier Brown is returning. We also got a commitment from the portal this past week. We got 2 actually, from Louisville forward Connie Ruths and the number 2 prospect from the portal, UCF guard Tyler Hendricks. So welcome to Oklahoma. On to our women's basketball. In case you missed it, our Sooner Reagan Beers was signed to the Connecticut Suns and has began training camp with them just this past weekend. She does currently just have a training camp contract with them, so we will see how that progresses as their training camp goes on this spring. Also, in case you missed it, we did have one portal entry from our women's basketball team. It was Zaya Van, and it was just announced that late last week she is transferring to Texas. Now, I know if you saw my tweet about this, I simply just retweeted that information with the mind blow emoji. I mean that no disrespect to Zaya, of course. Her family is OU DNA. Her dad, Bryant Van, played for OU, and her sister Skylar played for OU. And so it's just kind of mind blowing to see her going to Texas. But I did see a post from her dad on social media, and I wanted to read that. Her dad, Bryant, posted a photo of Rory Harmon, who is a Texas basketball player, and then Zaya Van, who shares the same number 3 as Rory Harmon. And there's a picture of them together from a high school camp some years ago. But Bryant posted, "This is probably the last time that you will see me posting my daughter Zaya in an OU uniform. There's some history here. When Zaya was in high school, she went to a UT camp and met Rory Harmon, which, by the way, she has Oklahoma ties also, which I did not know. But Rory's dad and him had some epic battles in high school. Rodney went to Douglas and Bryant Van went to Putnam City. Thought it was ironic that his daughter played at Texas and now mine will be there next year, and they are both point guards. I got to get used to saying horns up when my daughter is playing basketball, but for all other sports besides women's basketball, I will always say horns down." So thank you, Brian, for actually sharing that story on social media. I appreciate that little background. And of course, we wish Zaya nothing but the best. I know it's hard to root for a Longhorn. We can root for Zaya and not for the Longhorns. And like he says, it's horns down always. But in addition to Keely Parks that I mentioned on last week's episode from the portal, we also gained a commitment from Kansas State transfer Jordan Spicer. She announced last week she had some pretty good stats as a freshman last year at Kansas State. She's a former McDonald's All-American. I believe she's from Missouri. So welcome to Norman, to Jordan Spicer. With the addition of Spicer and Parks, OU now has 5 players who were ranked in the top 100 players by ESPN for the 2025 class. Elia Chavez was number 3, Jordan Spicer 16, Keely Parks 31, Keziah Lofton 50, and Brooklyn Stewart at 66. So again, if you listened to my episode with Tyler Neal last week as we did a basketball recap for both our women and men, it is a promising outlook for our women's basketball program. Coach Jenny at the helm. I have nothing but respect for her. We know she will handle it well. A great roster coming back, just a great future. Looking forward to our women's basketball program. On to our women's gymnastics team. Again, Fata suffered that wrist sprain and was unable to compete in the all-around and only competed in the beam in both the semis and the national championship finals on Saturday. But our all-around champ Faith Torres stepped up to the plate in a big way. She had only started training on floor just a few weeks ago, just in time to compete in the all-around, since Addison Fata was our go-to for that. But she was the all-around champ on Thursday, and our vault champ was Kira Wells. Just a complete dominance on the vault rotation on Thursday in the semis. It was truly incredible. OU and Minnesota advanced from that semifinal to the finals on Saturday, where they joined LSU and Florida. OU was the only team to score over a 198 score in the semis, which was truly incredible. Saturday, we win the national championship. It came down to the absolute last gymnast. Faith got a 995 on floor. Again, just started training for that a few weeks ago. Shout out to her. So not only did she win the all-around champion on Thursday, but she literally clinched the national championship for us with her floor routine that, again, she just started training on. We ran into trouble a little early on the beam rotation. That was our third rotation. Addison Fata scored a 9.735 in her only routine of the meet after that wrist injury. Unfortunately, Kira Wells did fall off of the beam, but we were able to drop that score, but we truly turned it around and recovered. Lily Peterson wins the all-around for that meet, scoring a 39.725. In addition to her high score on vault, she scored 995 on beam and 99375 on the floor. NCAA all-around champion Torres was not far behind with 39675. Shout out to our freshman Ella Murphy. She truly came in clutch for us in her first ever national championship when we needed her the most. We started out that beam with a 97375 and followed up with that fall. Ella Murphy had never been so nervous in all of her life, she said after the meet, but she managed a massive 375 to help get Oklahoma to their 8th national championship title. Shout out to all of those girls, truly incredible athletes. Do not want to undermine any of them just because I did not mention their names specifically. But it's the third time in program history that OU Gymnastics has won back-to-back national champions. It's official that KJ Kindler is now the most efficient coach ever with 8 titles in 19 seasons, excluding 2020. Of course, that was our COVID year and postseason was canceled. She passed, but we do think it's time for the GOAT conversation for KJ Kindler for sure. And where on earth is her statue? Where are we going to put it on campus? Because it is well past due. But with the women's gymnastics national championship, OU Athletics has won at least one NCAA team title in each of the last 13 years. Again, excluding the COVID year 2020 when everything was canceled. But the Sooners are up to 46 national titles altogether, 20 of those coming since 2013. Just truly remarkable. And by the time that this episode drops, this will have already happened, but they are having a celebration to celebrate that national champion team on Tuesday night. That's the 21st of April. So when the episode drops, this will have been the night before at the LNC. So be sure to check social media to get all of the highlights from that event. Our men's gymnastics have had quite a fantastic season and came back to Norman with a lot of accolades. Congratulations, first of all, to a pair of Sooner legends for officially being inducted into the College Gym Hall of Fame. This past weekend, Yul Mulder, who competed between 2016, and Jake Dalton from 2010 to 2012. Shout out to them for that. Coach Mark was there with them for that honor. The CGA Rookie of the Year, Sasha Boganosiuk, and Ignacio Yockers is the recipient of the NCAA Elite Scholar Athlete Award for the 2026 D1 Men's Gymnastics Championship. So shout out to those guys for that. Also, best in the business for our coaching staff. Congrats to them for being named the West Region Coaches of the Year. That's head coach Mark Williams, assistant coaches Valery Goncharov and Josh Yee. I apologize. I probably butchered his name and I shouldn't have. We've got Olympians on our staff for our men's gymnastics team. And again, they should not be overlooked. Truly an incredible program. We also had a pair of freshmen who claimed event titles as well in the national championship. Sasha Boganosiuk won the vault and Nathan Roman took parallel bars. We also notched a season high score on vault and recorded the top team scores of the meet on still rings and parallel bars. We advanced to Saturday to the final rounds. We put up a season high on the vault to close it out. We unfortunately trailed the whole meet, the second highest P-bar score of the season for us though. But even though we came in second to Stanford in the final standings of the national championship, those guys have absolutely nothing to hang their head about. Conference champions, undefeated regular season, finished as national runner-ups for the first time since 2022. And we also have finished first and second place in 21 of the last 27 seasons. And we have never finished below fourth place final standings during that time. No other team can say that. A few other accolades that do not need to get overlooked was Kelton Christensen, our senior, our captain, our champion. He was the high bar national champion, and Nathan Roman is the P-bar national champion. Tyler Flores also was the national champion on vault. We also had 9 Sooners earn All-American honors on 11 events this past weekend as well. Fuzzy Bennis on the vault. Fuzzy I had on the show back in March, so I hope you'll go back and give his episode a listen. Also, Coach Mark Williams I had on the pod last spring. Just truly incredible men, a part of our gymnastics program. I'm so honored to have been able to chat with them. Also, don't want to overlook Taj Hasdu, who was All-American on the still rings, Kelton Christensen high bar, Nathan Roman P-bars, Tyler Flores on vault, Colby Aranda still rings, Sasha Boganosiuk on vault, Ignacio Yockers on the pommel, and Francisco Velez Belendez on still rings. So again, congratulations to our guys for a fantastic season. and coming in as national runner-up. I am looking forward to supporting you again next season. I always love our gymnastics program. They are truly some of the best in the nation. To have our men and women's gymnastics programs competing in the national championship year after year after year is just truly remarkable. Don't let them get overlooked. Okay, on to a special Bedlam segment to talk some Sooner and Poke Diamond Sports. Please welcome my husband, Eric. Okay, I have a special guest here to talk about the Bedlam Diamond Sports that we had last week. Unfortunately, OU lost both of those games back to back, Tuesday baseball in Tulsa and Wednesday softball at Devon Park. So I have my Poke husband here to give some thoughts and talk about the games. And I know you're probably thinking, why in the world do you have him on here when we lost? Well, it's because last year when we won both of those back to back, I made him come on here and I made fun of him. So I feel like it is only right for me to return the favor to him. And I like to have him on when we had Bedlam sports to talk about. I can't remember. Did we talk about basketball? I think we did.
I do not remember.
I don't remember because he was angry because we beat them back to back in Bedlam basketball, men's and women's. So I don't remember if we had him on then or not. But anyway, so Bedlam baseball was last week in Tulsa at One Oak Field. And we unfortunately did not get to go just for various scheduling conflicts, and turned out well because the weather wreaked havoc during the game. They only played 7 innings, I believe, and then it was cut short with the rain delay, which later turned into a tornado warning, and they called the game. So OU did lose that game, unfortunately, 3-7. So we were in the bottom of the 8th with no outs when the game was called. And that was at 10 p.m. Tornado sirens go off, and here we go. So not a lot to tell on the Sooner front as far as that game goes. We were number 9 going into that game for our ranking. Jackson Willits had a great 3-run home run, which was incredible. That was the best play of the game, honestly, on our side. Brendan Brock had an awesome catch. My guy Brendan, I had on the podcast back in March. He had an awesome catch out in left field. If you missed that, go back on their social media and give it a look because it was an incredible catch. But unfortunately, again, suffered that loss. We did have our freshman pitcher, Weslowski, come in. Jackson Willits, again, good hit. So that's about all I have to say on the Bedlam front. I wish we could have finished out the game. You just never know what could have happened. But things weren't going super well. So my Poke husband, I'll let you take over and give some of your thoughts.
Yep, just the bottom of the 8th. So we got through most of it. We were 23-4 after that game, which put us pretty close to you guys. We usually start out pretty slow throughout the season and then have to catch back up with you normally. So it's nice to be neck and neck on our wins and losses. But TP Wentworth and Brennan Phillips did a great job in pitching. We always joke because we are used to hearing JG Wentworth, which is if you're a millennial or a Gen Xer, you probably remember those commercials as well too. But we had some pair of homers by Smithwick. He's a really good kid. You guys need to watch him, even if he, is on the other team. Colin Ritchie and Garrett Scholes, they're just, hammering it out of the park. We had 4 homers during that one, and it was a good game for us. We just really got it going in the first and allowed us to continue on. Our record for Bedlam and baseball is one of the winning records, at least, that we can say is 38-16 after this one. So that's kind of cool that we can say that. I can't really say that on a lot of the sports. And when she says angry, I'm not angry. She's the one that lets her whole life get flipped upside down from kids playing sports. I just kind of go with the flow.
That is true. So for those of you who don't know that we've been on before, we usually dress in some sort of Bedlam attire, but I actually had him come home during his lunch break today from work to record with me, so he is dressed fancy. But we do have special Bedlam shirts that we wore during football. So that's what he doesn't like to talk about is our Bedlam record in football. I had a 19-4 record in our half and half Bedlam shirts over the years, but we only wear those for football. So obviously I haven't worn them in a couple years, but hopefully that will be returning soon. Not to get off on football, but yeah, new football coach, and you guys are excited, and hopefully to get Bedlam back on the slate soon.
Yeah, it was a good spring game that they had. First one that we've had in a long time. So it was nice to be able to twofold have a spring game. Second is he's actually letting media and people attend the practices, unlike Gundy did. And so yeah, going to be excited. We may have to get new Bedlam shirts because I may be fluffier.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm definitely fluffier, but that's beside the point. But so last year, we had a great Sooner double on the Diamond Sports with baseball. You and I attended in Stillwater. Jason Walk hit a great home run out to left field where we were sitting. And I believe it was a grand slam, if I remember correctly. But nevertheless, we had a great Sooner win there in Stillwater last year. And then a week later, we had Bedlam softball on my birthday. In at Devon Park, and we had a walk-off run roll win over the Pokes. And so I was living high on the hog last year with the Diamond Sports, but unfortunately we only play once Bedlam since it's non-conference these days. So again, unfortunately, we only got our one shot at Bedlam this year for the Diamond Sports, and we struck out, no pun intended. But on to softball. Again, we were supposed to attend, had some weather issues, decided not to go, sold our tickets. But to be honest, of course I miss being there. I always love attending anything Bedlam. That's our special thing. But did not miss not having that 2-hour drive home after that loss on the softball diamond. But a few quick notes on that game. Travis Davison, my friend, who will be on the pod soon to talk about some baseball, he tweeted out a good quote about that game, and so I wanted to read that. He said, if Oklahoma State softball brought the same energy and passion to every game that they brought against the Sooners in Bedlam, they might have a championship by now. And I don't disagree with him on that, and don't mean that as a jab at Oklahoma State by any means, because they came out on that field. Ruby Malin came out like she owned the place, and she did. She owned the circle that night. She was incredible. I believe she had somewhere around 130 pitches that night.
9 strikeouts.
She was
awesome. That's
incredible.
Her 12th game this season. So unfortunately, we are relying on her way too much.
Yes.
But luckily for us, we have her, and she's just killing it. I mean, 9 strikeouts against the Sooners. Impressive. She should be very excited and very pleased with herself. So
they definitely ride her arm there in Stillwater. I believe I was watching their game this past weekend when they closed out their series. I believe they said she had thrown somewhere near close to 400 pitches in 3 games since the Bedlam game last Wednesday. So she's definitely their ace, and they ride her pretty hard, but she usually gets the job done. So she's an incredible athlete. So do you have any more thoughts on Bedlam you want to share before I rattle off mine?
It was 7,826 people, which was a good showing. Of course, that's the most that we have had because our stadium is way too small, and we need to hurry up and finish the donations and raising money so we can get the new softball field for our girls because they definitely deserve it. The 6-4 win was just nice to have. The biggest stat that's disappointing, unfortunately, but again, it's kudos to Patty, is the 8-45 record that we have against OU. You know, I'm not going to say one and not the other. And so that's the 4th time Kenny's beat a number 1. Again, I think we are not consistent. And we've always had a pretty young team, and we're not consistent on keeping that high intensity throughout all of our games. And so we had, except for the first, we had 1 run in every single inning, which was kind of cool to see. That usually doesn't happen, usually kind of back to back, but or some grand slams would have been nice too. But unfortunately, we just had to knock one at each inning that way. So
y'all got it done.
10 total hits throughout the game. And so, I mean, Lexi and Carly did a great job, and Jaylee, but Ruby Malin, MVP always. Absolutely. And hopefully she can get us through postseason a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the highlight for Sooners that night was Kendall Wells' home run number 32 that she hit, which was an incredible bomb off to right field. Kenzie Hansen just happened to be up in the television booth with the ESPN crew when that hit was made, and she was just talking, and then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, as soon as the ball was hit. So it was really cool to go back and hear her on that call of that home run for Kendall Wells. Again, that was number 32 for her. Alyssa Parker came out of the pen pretty clutch to help us get the closeout on that Bedlam game. And I'll talk more about Alyssa Parker here shortly. But she has really done an exceptional job this year coming out of the pen. She started this past weekend against Arkansas. She's done really well for us. But Abby Dayton had a 2-run. double. And again, I wish that it would have ended well, but it really was a good game. And I hate saying that because obviously we lost and we don't like losing. But again, Ruby Malin was the highlight that night. That Kendall Wells home run, of course, is always going to steal the show. But yeah, here's to another round of Bedlam next spring for the Diamond Sports. We may host Bedlam baseball in Norman next year. It seems to be kind of floating around, so not quite sure how that will fall next year, but it seems to be that Bedlam softball will be played at Devon Park in Oklahoma City, but I like that. I hope that sticks around, and so
hopefully we can get them to have it back at Bricktown again. We got to figure out how to get that done. Maybe
yes, Bedlam baseball.
Talk to your AD. I'll talk to my AD and see if we can get that figured out. It's a much better drive for us.
Would love to. Yeah, for those of you that may not remember, I would say it was probably 2018 or 19. Bedlam baseball was at Bricktown Ballpark in early May. Of course, it was conference game back then, but now it'd be non-con, so it'd be probably a little earlier in the season. But hey, I'll take it. I think that's a great atmosphere. I think having it centrally located for the Bedlam games is fantastic. For now, of course, we had Bedlam basketball doubleheader, men's and women at Paycom, which was awesome. Don't have a central location if we ever do get Bedlam football back on the schedule, but I think a home and home series for football, we will not complain at all.
You never know with the new complex being built in Oklahoma City, the UFL, and
that's very true.
And the soccer stadium, the multi-purpose is what they're calling it. You know,
2028 that stadium will be done, so maybe by then we could have some Bedlam football in the works. So
we could schedule it that way to when it gets done. And
well, do you have any other thoughts you want to share on your Bedlam mind before I let you?
I don't think so. I think it's a good, even though it's a loss for you guys, it's still a good conversation because it wasn't like you guys didn't show up. It was the fact that we played well, everyone played well, and it wasn't a blowout one way or the other. So it made it for good baseball and softball.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
It's always fun to have those games.
For sure. Well, we'll have a little from the Bedlam conversation for a while. I guess it'll be basketball season, but I'll have you back on Talk Bedlam basketball in December.
There might be some tennis out there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Or soccer.
That's true. We'll have some Bedlam soccer coming up in the fall. That should be in Stillwater this year. Yeah. They usually play in mid to late August. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, we can talk a little Bedlam soccer for sure.
Yeah. Don't know much about it, but I'll figure it out.
All right. Thanks for coming on. Okay. Thanks to my husband, Eric, for coming on for the Bedlam segment for this episode. It's only fair that I give him equal airtime when we get beat by them, like I made him sit here and listen to me gloat last year after the Diamond Sports. So thanks again for him for being a good sport always and for coming on the show. Okay, to wrap up the headlines from our baseball team, their weekend series at home versus Missouri. It was a Sooner sweep, and what a great weekend it was on the diamond as they recovered from that Bedlam loss. 9-6 win on Friday. We had 4 home runs by Desan Harris, Jason Walk, Trey Gamble, and Camden Johnson. LJ Mercurius pitched 6 innings, only had 3 runs and 9 Ks. Saturday, a 4-0 win, and that officially clinched our series win, and we have won 4 of the first 6 SEC series that we have faced. A nice bounce back for Cam Johnson, 5 1/3 shutout, only giving up 2 hits and just 1 walk for him. Dayton LaChance had another home run on Saturday as well. And then on Sunday, we closed out the series with an Sooner sweep, 8-4 win over Missouri. Cord Rager, welcome back to the mound. His first game back after missing the last 2 weekends, pitched 5 innings, only had 1 hit, no earned runs, 8 Ks. A really strong weekend from him as he picked up that win on his first start since March the 28th. Desan Harris had 3 hits. Brendan Brock, Camden Johnson each had a pair, and including home runs. And so next up for our baseball guys, we host ORU on Tuesday night. So the day that this episode drops, that will have been the night before. But we head to Auburn on the road next weekend. To recap the weekend series for our softball girls, as we stood at number 2 in the Softball America polls that just came out this week, let's talk a little bit about our OU offense and where we rank nationally. With a .416 batting average, we rank number 1. 506 hits, number 1. 150 home runs, which ranks number 1. 511 on base percentage, which also ranks number 1. 485 RBIs, number 1. 11.32 runs per game, number 1. 853 slugging percentage, which also ranks number 1. And 498 runs, which ranked number 1 in the nation. This was before our weekend series. Those stats. We hosted Arkansas at Love's Field this past weekend as we attempted to bounce back from that Bedlam loss at Devon Park on Wednesday. An excellent win, exciting on Friday night for game one, 8-7 win. Grand slam by Isabella Emmerling changed the whole game to overcome that 4-0 deficit we were sitting at. Incredible hit by her. Lexi McDaniel hit the go-ahead RBI. Alyssa Parker got the final out with the go-ahead runner at the plate with that save. Just incredible outing and bounce back from our Sooners. Game two on Saturday was a little different tune as we suffered the 3-2 loss. 31 game home win streak snapped. We went 1-2-3 in the bottom of the seventh. Kendall Wells had a solo home run to hit number 33. Isabella Emmerling again showing out at the plate with the home run. Her first game that she has hit a home run that OU has lost. So we head to Sunday for the rubber match. Kendall Wells knocks out number 34 in that 11-1 run rule win in 5 innings as we clinched the series. The Sooners came back clutch and bounced back and showed up early and got things done, which is what Coach Gasso had been talking to them about doing, is responding early instead of having to bounce back and answer. But Alyssa Parker had a complete game in the circle, and OU hits 4 home runs, running its team total now up to 158. That's 3 away from tying the team NCAA single season record, which is held by OU from the 2021 team at 161. Ella Parker hit career hit number 200. Again, Kendall Wells' 3-run home run, that was number 34. That ties her for the OU single season record that's currently held by Jocelyn Allo. Isabella Emmerling, again, just getting things done. 2-run home run, 3 RBIs. She's had a home run every single game that series. Gabby Garcia had a 3-run home run. Alyssa Parker, again, a complete game. 7 Ks. That's a season high for her. So we host Arkansas Pine Bluff on Tuesday night, the 21st. So when this episode drops, this will have been the night before. But we host at home next weekend, Georgia, as they come to Love's Field. So looking for another series to clinch for our conference slate. Okay, for our soccer team, they had the OU Texas Pro Clash in Dallas this past weekend. They played at the Cotton Bowl on Sunday the 19th. How cool is that? Your last chance to see our soccer girls on their spring slate is this coming Saturday, the 25th at home. It's free admission, so I hope you'll get out and support our soccer girls. I had Allie Lassinelli on the pod earlier this spring, and she was so much fun to talk to. So give that episode a listen on your drive up to Norman to support our soccer girls. For our wrestling squad, we have signed several new commits coming in from the portal. And for those keeping track, we did have one go in the portal, Carter Schubert, and he did transfer to Iowa. That was just announced last week. Also, our volleyball team is excited to announce the addition of Kevin Carroll to the staff as an associate head coach. So welcome, Kevin, to Oklahoma. Also, on the volleyball front, don't forget the first ever SEC Big Ten Clash is coming to Norman in September, so there will be more information to come on that soon. But that is going to be a very cool event to attend. I'm planning to attend it for sure. That will be in September, so stay tuned for more details on that. Our tennis program, women, I failed to mention on last week's episode our senior Oilomo Quadre. I do apologize. I talked about Julia Garcia Ruiz, who I had on my podcast earlier this spring. Those were the 2 seniors of the program. I talked about Julia and how I hated to have missed her senior day and spoke a little bit on some things she had posted in her regards and her thank you to Oklahoma. I failed to mention Oilomo, and so I do apologize for that. I just wanted to give her that recognition and thanks for her contribution to our tennis program. We did have our back-to-back SEC Player of the Week, Julia Garcia Ruiz, last week, so shout out to her for that. Unfortunately, our ladies did suffer a loss in the SEC tournament that we hosted in Norman this past week. We lost 3-4 on Friday. So next up, we will have this coming week off before we turn our attention to the NCAA region play, which is set for May 1st and 3rd. And we will find out more information about those dates and times and opponents here in the next coming week. So stay tuned for that. Our men, shout out to Asahi Harazaki. He was the SEC Player of the Week last week. He had 2 doubles wins, 2 singles wins, and 2 clinching points for the Sooners last week. Unfortunately, our men's team suffered a 3-4 loss to Texas A&M on Friday in the SECs down in College Station. So next up for them, again, they will find out their seed during the selection show on Monday, the 27th at 4 p.m. So stay tuned for that next week. And best of luck to our men and women as they will head to the postseason NCAA tournament later in the month of May. Shout out to our track and field Kennedy Stringfellow. He was our SEC co-field athlete of the week last week. Also, Ralford Mullings ranked number 2 in discus, and women's triple jump is ranked first, men's high jump second, and pole vault second in the nation. Our track and field crew split the weekend in Cali this past weekend. Part of our group went to the Mount Sacs relay. Angel Richmore competed in the heptathlon as she placed second overall after all of the events. So shout out to Angel for that. We also had Amaya Norwood with the women's javelin record a mark to finish third. Men's triple jump, Awakiivi Nadovu jumped for a third place finish. In the men's 4x400 relay, Gage Hensey, Keith Griffin, Samuel Twele, and Braden Paris combined to earn a runner-up finish. In the women's 4x400 relay, Jada Atkinson, Nia Parks, Gladys Davis Mumbai, and Chloe Rodriguez combined to finish fourth. Men's 800, Carlos Tello recorded a third place finish. Women's shot put, my girl Maggie Mullings posted a mark to finish fifth place. Women's pole vault, Jacelyn Neighbors cleared to earn a runner-up finish and moved to number 7 in school history. Men's 200 meter, Braden Paris ran a personal best and took 7th place. Women's pole vault, freshman Lily Samansky cleared a personal best to finish 5th. Women's 100 meter hurdles, 7th place finish for Chloe Rodriguez. Women's 100 meter, Jordan Atkinson clocked to finish 7th place. Women's 400 meter, we had 2 Sooners clock personal best in that race, Jada Atkinson and Gladys David. Women's 100 meter hurdle, a strong effort from Allie Stevenson as she ran a personal best to finish 6th. Women's triple jump, Riley Ammenhauser soared an outdoor personal best for a runner-up finish in the elite division. Men's triple jump, BJ Green and Floyd Whitaker placed in the top 8. Women's hammer throw, Kennedy Clark delivered a throw to finish 6th in the elite division. Women's shot put, Tylee Dodson unleashed a personal best finish to finish 4th in the elite division. Tyson Ritz cleared to finish 6th in the elite division for the men's high jump. And Brendan C. posted a mark to finish 6th in the elite division of men's discus. And that is the event that our Ralford Mullings launched a season best throw to win the elite division and rise to number 2 in the NCAAs. Women's high jump, Hannah Piffner cleared to finish 8th in the elite division. Men's 400 meter, season best time for Samuel Tully in the elite division. Women's 4x100 relay, Nebtum Dumas, Jordan Atkinson, Eva Kubikova, and Morgan Little combined to place 6th place. Men's 800 meter, Hayden Gray turned a personal best to enter the OU all-time top 10. So it was a very successful trip out to the Mount Sac relays in California. Some of our distance runners headed out to the Brian Clay Invitational, where we had Ronald Negetich run a personal best in the men's 500 meter to etch his name atop the program record book. Also making history again was Domtela Cherudo as she clocked in the women's 500 meter to rewrite a 44-year school record, the 4th of her incredible freshman season. Also shout out to Evans Boat for the men's 500 meter as he ran a personal best to move up to number 3 in OU history. Men's 3,000 meter steeplechase, shout out Jack Vinson to finish 3rd place and move up to number 4 in OU history. Men's 10,000 meter, Tobias Chariot and Shadrach Kiptu finished at those races as well. Our track and field crew return home next weekend to host the O-Ring Alumni Open Invitation on Saturday, the 25th of April. So get out and support our track and field team. It is free to get out in Norman this coming weekend. Our rowing girls had 5 top 3 finishes and 2 wins over the past 2 days that they spent at the Orlando Invitational Regatta at Lake Pickett. Coming up next, our rowing girls will travel to Raleigh, North Carolina for the Lake Wheeler Invitational, a multi-team regatta hosted by Duke and North Carolina, and that is set for April 20th. Our women's golf, I have some results that just posted right before I started recording this. We had our best conference championship stroke play finish in over a decade as we finished 2nd and punched our ticket to match play as a number 3 seed at the SEC championships. That match play happened today as I'm recording this on Monday. Unfortunately, we did lose to Tennessee 4-1 in that match play, and so we will await the NCAA selection show on 4/29 to see our fate in the postseason tournament. Our men in the final regular season tournament of his decorated career, Oklahoma senior Jace Semi tied for sixth place at the Ford Collegiate on Tuesday and led the Sooners to a ninth place team finish. And so those guys are headed, as I'm recording this, to the SEC Championships, where they will compete April 22nd through 26th at St. Simons Island, Georgia, at Sea Island Golf Club for the SEC Championship. Also, don't forget, we have so many club sports that I don't regularly talk about. I try to share a lot of their stuff on social media. Instagram, Twitter for sure. Go follow me on social media. I'm at Sooner Girl Pod on all platforms. And if you don't currently follow me, again, please go do so. If you do currently follow me, go and invite a friend. It really does help me to grow my audience. Everyone shares with just one person. It can help grow my audience on all the platforms. It's very important to help grow my views. But I want to give a shout out. This past weekend, I went out to watch senior day for our women's lacrosse team. Unfortunately, I had to leave a little early. They were running behind. I went on Saturday morning before the spring football game. I had to get to the stadium to meet my Sooner Club rep, which I will talk more about that here momentarily. But unfortunately, I did have to leave. So I did not get to see my girl, Lauren Clark. But it was so cool. I attended my first lacrosse game. I don't know anything about the sport. It's very interesting. I feel like it's a cross between rugby and soccer. It was a lot of fun to watch. They play there on the intramural fields there just on the southeast side of campus. But I do plan to go back next season and support our women's lacrosse team. It was so much fun. But I recently spoke to Lauren Clark, one of our players, and I will have her on the podcast here in the next coming month. So I hope that you will look forward to hearing that episode with her. I also cannot let this episode go by failing to mention what all else I did this weekend on top of women's lacrosse. I'll wrap up Saturday and then tell you what I did on Friday. So on Saturday, I went to the spring game. Like I mentioned, I had to leave the lacrosse game early to get over to meet my rep at the stadium because I was asked to be a part of the high five tunnel before the spring game, and that was such a cool experience. You know, I've toured the stadium, I've been underneath the stadium, I've been all the places, but I never turned down an opportunity to get down close to the field, to interact with the players and meet new people. And so shout out to my girl Sydney Tennant, ticket rep. She was awesome. Thank you for including me in that. My husband did a video of the high five tunnel while I was just standing there high fiving the guys. I posted that on my social media, on my TikTok. So I hope that you will go and give that a watch. Again, it's at Sooner Girl Pod. But just an awesome experience at the spring game. I also want to give a shout out to Scissor Hands, my guy Todd, and my new friend Adam that I met at the stadium on Saturday. They recognized me, asked to take a photo with me. It was so, so cool. I know I did a post and I said, nothing makes me feel more validated than a bunch of grown men kind of fangirling over me a little bit. I don't mean that in a weird way. It's just, I truly appreciate their support. And when it comes from men who are big fans, big OU supporters, it just carries a lot of weight. So it never gets old. I don't think I'll ever get used to it. It truly means more to me than you know. So again, thank you, Adam, Todd, Scissor Hands, for coming up to me, for chatting with me, taking a photo with me. I posted all these photos on my social media. So again, I hope you'll go and give those a look. Posted them on all of my platforms at Sooner Girl Pod. But just so, so cool to meet new friends. And then after the game, I headed over to Coach's Corner with a group of friends, had an early dinner, stuck around a little bit for Scissor Hands annual spring game party, got to meet some more people there. My guys, Corey Wilson is one of the co-owners of Coach's Corner. He's a former football player. His wife, Terry, they are amazing people. If you haven't been to Coach's Corner, you're truly missing out. It's an amazing sports bar experience. So get out and support them and tell them that Larissa from Sooner Girl Sports Pod sent you. It will make their day for sure. But I also met my new friend Tammy at Coach's Corner. She spotted me when I was walking through the restaurant, and I got to talk to her for a little bit before she headed out to the softball game. So again, I took a photo with her, posted it on my Twitter. That's where she follows me. So shout out to my girl Tammy. But again, if you see me ever roaming around an event, I promise I'm not rude. I'm just oblivious sometimes, but please holler at me, flag me down. I would love, love, love to meet you and say hello, snag a photo. I appreciate your support more than you know. So again, thank you. I also want to tell you what I got to do on Friday. And I am posting all of this on my social media as well. So I hope you will go and give all of my photos and videos a look. But on Friday, I was asked to attend a softball alumni event with my girl, Julie Dobbs Burbank. Julie played softball at OU in the early 80s, and she invited me to come with her. We had lunch at the Mont. Then we headed over to the stadium to the championship lounge where I got to have drinks and hors d'oeuvres with so many softball alumni: Kelly Maxwell, Nicole May, Alex Storacco, Alyssa Brito, Carly Keeney, Amber Flores, who I had on the podcast last summer. Of course, I had Kelly on just a few weeks ago. There's so many girls that I got to meet, take my photo with. I also got to tour the stadium. Again, I have all those photos and videos posting to my social media, so I hope you'll go and give those a look. It was truly an incredible experience. Some of those girls recognized me from social media. They knew who I was, and that again will just truly never get old. Made a lot of connections. I got to meet Roger Denny, our new AD, hoping to have him on the podcast soon. He said he would come on, so I'm going to try to work that out with him. But again, just a truly amazing experience that I had on Friday. Just a once in a lifetime experience. And again, I will never take for granted the experiences that I have gotten to do because of this podcast, through the connections that I've met here, the people that I've hosted on. Julie, who invited me, I had her and her husband on the podcast last summer for a special Bedlam episode with my husband, Eric. Julie's husband, Dennis, played basketball and baseball at OSU and also played for the New York Yankees. So go back and give that episode a listen for sure. But Julie has some OU DNA. We have a lot in common, and it was just really cool to connect with her. She has a Bedlam marriage. We just really have a great time. So I just wanted to give her a shout out, and all of my new friends that I met. Got to hang out with Mandy Fulton. We FaceTimed Kelly Bright. That was her 2000 national champion from that team. Just such a fun weekend. I truly cannot say enough about who all I got to meet and everything I got to do. Thanks, Julie, for getting me in to be a part of that and for the awesome seats at the game. And it was a once in a lifetime experience, and I can't thank you enough. Okay, starting to wrap up this segment, let me give a shout out to my Sooner MVPs of the week. Track and field discus, Ralford Mullings had his season best to win that elite division and rise to number 2. Also, our women's gymnastics national champions, Kendall Wells, for our softball, hit number 34 to tie the OU single season record. Football, our freshman running back, Dezephin Walker, again had a breakout at the spring game. Men's gymnastics, again, shout out to the whole team, conference champs, undefeated regular season, and national runner-ups. And last shout out to our women's golf, the best conference championship stroke play finish in over a decade. Shout out to those girls for that, and best of luck to them in the rest of the postseason. Okay, to end this segment with a Sooner fun fact of the week, Maddie Williams, Taylor Robertson, and Anna Lasanusa were the 3 1,000-point scorers in the women's Oklahoma basketball team's lineup during the 2021-20 season. What a team that was. You guys, I've actually spoke with Maddie Williams. I'm planning to interview her for the podcast sometime this summer. I also hosted Taylor Robertson on the pod earlier this season, so I hope my basketball lovers will go back and give those a listen. Again, thank you for your support. It means more to me than you know. Go out and get you some merch. Soonergirl.bigcartel.com. Shoot me a picture when you get it. Go like, follow, and subscribe on all the social media platforms: Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and Substack. Also for the podcast, be sure and leave me a review as well. Make sure you subscribe on my Substack. The Playbook monthly newsletter will be coming out in the next week or so. You won't want to miss that. My ladies, come join the huddle in the locker room. We have so much going on. You can find all that information on my Substack. Also, I have advertising and sponsorship opportunities available. You can email me at soonergirlsportspod@gmail.com or shoot me a message at Sooner Girl Pod on any platform. All of that information I just mentioned you can find in my link in bio on all of my social media platforms. So if you have any questions, always feel free to shoot me a message. I'm happy to help. Okay, I know you guys are ready to hear from Ralford and Maggie, Bookout, Mullings. Ralford is a red shirt senior. He is the 2025 NCAA champion in the men's discus. He is a Jamaican national record holder. He is an Olympian finalist. He's an NCAA meet record holder. He went to the 2025 World Championships in Tokyo, the 2025 Brussels Diamond League champion. He's a four-time All-American. And Maggie Bookout Mullings is a redshirt sophomore. She was born and raised in Oklahoma. Gatorade Player of the Year, top 2 in the nation in her senior class out of high school. She had a great freshman year, and she is ready to show what she has this season, and she is doing fantastic so far. Her dad is Casey Bookout. Longtime Sooner fans will recognize his name. He holds the home run records for OU baseball, and her mom, Danielle, played volleyball for OU as well. Of course, Maggie grew up in Oklahoma and has been a Sooner fan her whole life, and Ralford just became a fan when he came to college at OU. So I can't wait for you guys to hear that story of how they met and how he ended up here. Maggie, her favorite Sooner memory is when her dad worked at OU. She would come to work with him, and also watching her husband Ralford win the NCAAs last year. And of course, Ralford's favorite Sooner memory is winning the NCAAs last year. You can find both Maggie and Ralford on Instagram at maggie.mullings and at ralford.mullings. And of course, I will link all of this in the show notes, and I will be tagging them on social media throughout the week. So I hope you all enjoy my conversation with amazing Ralford Mullings and his wife, Maggie Bookout Mullings. And I will see you next Wednesday where we will talk sports. Well, I appreciate y'all taking some time to chat with me.
Of course.
Absolutely.
I spoke with Eva Kubikova. She is a very sweet girl.
I love her. She's great. She's a great teammate.
She is. She's awesome. I really enjoy visiting with her. Well, Ralford, I hope she didn't have to twist your arm too much to come and join us.
No, it's been a good winter.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to give you guys time and space to share your stories and talk a little bit about how you ended up, of course, at OU and then together, and then all of your individual accomplishments, because you both have so many on your own. I guess we'll say ladies first. I'll let Maggie get us started. But Maggie, you come from a good long line of OU DNA, and I didn't realize your maiden name. I've been following you guys on social media for a while, but Coach Thomas told me your maiden name when he invited me to come to a practice a couple months ago, and so my husband and I came by, and he was like, "Do you know the name Bookout?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." And he started telling, I was like, yes, okay. So you clearly have a lot of OU DNA in your blood for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I come from a Sooner family for sure.
You do, and a very athletic family as well.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, definitely.
So I'm sure that coming to OU was not a hard choice for you. But tell me a little bit about being a track athlete and how you ended up at OU as far as that's concerned, and a little bit about your time here.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a funny story how I started throwing, because I played competitive volleyball like my whole life from the time I was 9 all the way up to high school. And one Christmas, I think I was about 11 or 12, my uncle Kevin, who threw here at OU, we were at my grandparents' house, and he said, "Why don't we just go give it a shot? We'll just throw it off the driveway into the yard." And so we did that, and I fell in love with it, and it was kind of
awesome.
I really latched on, and I quit volleyball after my freshman year and took it from there. But yeah, when I was being recruited, I was looking at quite a few schools, Florida State, Arizona State, but I caught myself continuing to compare everything to OU when I was getting recruited. It was like, well, yeah, this is great, but I really like this aspect of OU, and they don't quite have that. And so I remember there was a lot of coaching switches from the different schools, and I just kind of sat down and I was like, if I'm comparing everywhere to OU, why don't I just go to OU?
That makes sense.
That was I just felt like the Lord kind of guided me in that decision, and then I just ended up, I think it was the place I belong, and I'm comfortable here. It feels like home.
Awesome.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I know that OU is glad to have you, not just because of your family name as well, but just your accomplishments also. So tell me some of your favorite memories. I know you mentioned about your dad, and your other favorite memory was watching your husband win NCAAs, but just for you personally, what are some of your favorite memories as far as your performances go and your meets go during your time at OU?
Yeah, so definitely, like you'd mentioned, some of my favorite memories start from when I was really little and going to OU Texas. And my dad worked in the athletic department for a little bit, so I'd get to go to work sometimes. And that was just so fun. It just seemed like such, an amazing place. And then it was such a dream come true. I remember on my official visit to OU when I put the jersey on for the first time, that was such like a surreal moment because I'd seen like mom and dad and my uncle and all their jersey pictures. So I would say that was one of my probably most like amazing memories, was getting the jersey on for the first time and then getting to compete in it for the first time.
Yes,
and SECs, going to SECs. That was some of my favorite memories. And in the road trips, we have such a great team. And I love the memories of just like bus rides and having fun with the girls on the team. And it's really a special, unique experience. So
that's cool. Well, I hear that a lot about people who putting on their jersey for the first time and seeing that OU across their chest and just knowing that they're representing the university is a very surreal moment. So I'm sure you agree. Ralford, how did you end up at OU?
Okay, so I've been to three universities. First, let me back up a little bit. So I'm an international student from Jamaica, and I started throwing through my form teacher. We have these annual sports days where anyone can go and try a sport. So my form teacher advised me to go throw the shot put. I did. I threw 796 that day meters, and I just stuck with it. Started the discus. Was good enough to get a scholarship. Came to US. Went to Arizona State. Went to Arkansas. My coach left to Arizona State. Arkansas wasn't the right fit for me, and then decided to leave. Came here, got married, and I've been here. This is my third year here, so it's been great so far.
Awesome. And now you're stuck here in Oklahoma, huh? Well, I love to hear people's journey, and I love the fact that so many different countries are represented, especially for you guys with the track and field team. I believe Coach Thomas said there's 26 countries represented just within the track and field team, and that is so cool to me. And when I was there, he showed me all the flags that hang up in the indoor facility. And that was really cool to me. I took a picture of it. I just thought that was so special that each one of those countries are represented by an individual person and their journey to OU and what led them there. And now you have so many memories, so many accolades here in Oklahoma, of all places. So I just love hearing you guys' story. So tell me, Ralford, I know that you have so many accolades yourself, so many things that you've accomplished. So tell me a little bit about some of your favorite memories and things that you've accomplished during your time here at OU.
Yeah, so winning is great and all, but some of my favorite memories is just, I don't know, being in the dump in a heavy cycle, having breakthroughs with my coach. I mean, Coach Nino, he recently retired, but just making those small stepping stones to a bigger goal, I would say. So yeah, just those days where I don't really feel like doing it, but I find the motivation to go do it, and then having the result, which could be, I don't know, winning a national championship, winning the SC championship, going to World Championships, the Olympics. So obviously I represent OU at those meets, but yeah, I really love the grind of becoming better each and every day, I would say.
That's a good thing to point out, because I always tell people that's something that carries on in your life past your college days, past your athletic days. It's just sometimes you just have to get up and push on and strive to become a better person every day. So I know, Maggie, you mentioned about the team aspect and just what it's like to be a teammate, and a lot of those favorite memories that you have of just hanging out and being there that aren't necessarily like highlight moments, so to speak, but they stick out to you because it's just part of the everyday things that you've learned along the way. And I'm sure, Ralford, that you can agree with that, just talking about what you just mentioned. But are there anything that sticks out to you as far as lessons that you know that you will carry on into your next chapter of life, past college or even past being an athlete someday? Lessons that you've learned in this phase of your life that will benefit you in the future down the road, just from being a teammate, accomplishments, or just pushing through the day to day? What's some of those things that might stick out to you as far as that goes?
I would say for me, kind of building off of what Ralford said, of those days where like there's not always a championship. There's not
Yes.
always a PR. There's not always a good meet. So just
Yes.
having those bad times, having those bad meets, those bad days, but then showing up again and
Yeah.
showing up and just working to one day, like obviously you hope to reach those goals,
For
but
sure.
like sometimes the win is just showing up and just giving it your best. And I think one of my teammates posted the other day and she was like, my highlight of the day was just showing up to practice. Like just getting up, getting out of bed and going when you don't want to. And I think that's something like when you go into work or like if you're a parent and it's like you're tired, you don't want to do it, but you got to get up and you got to give it your best. So I think that's one of the things that sports probably has taught me the most is even when you don't want to do it, like you got to get up and you got to show up and you got to do it.
For sure.
Well, one, showing up, that's always great. I would say just being grateful for the opportunity that you have. Two, I always say comparison is the thief of joy, and always being just extremely grateful for where you are in life, even though, I don't know, there are better opportunities. That doesn't mean that it's better for you. It's a better fit for you. So just being thankful for where you are here at OU, being grateful for your position in life and the opportunity that you've been given by the Lord. But yeah, it just, yeah, that's the greatest thing I would say. It's just being thankful and not have comparison be the thief of your joy.
That's true. I love that you brought that up because that is something that Eva and I talked about as well a little bit, was just focusing on yourself and not comparing your body or your results or anything to other people, because that really can get you down, and it's very important just to focus on how far you've come as a person. So that is definitely something I can see is a consistent lesson that you guys have learned for sure as athletes across the board. I do hear that a lot, so that's good to always point that out. So Ralford, tell me a little bit about what it's like to represent your country, with you being from Jamaica. So now I can add Jamaica to my list of countries that are represented on the podcast. I've had the Czech Republic, Mexico, and then I had a tennis player from Mozambique. So now I can add Jamaica to the list. So tell me a little bit about what it's like for you representing your country around the world on the stage, on the worldwide stage, and just what that's meant to you to represent your country, and how that's maybe some of your favorite memories from that.
Yeah, it's been awesome. When the typical person thinks of Jamaica, they think of sprinting and not throwing a 2-kilogram discus. But yeah, it's been great to be a part of the evolving sport around throwing, and it's been great, especially just I don't know, getting the national record. It honestly has been an honor because Jamaica has been known as a sprinting country, and to now put us on the board as throwing, like this 2 years ago, we had the highest average of discus throwers per country. So we're the best discus country. Yeah, the Olympic year.
Okay.
So just being a part of that and just kind of shifting our culture a little bit from trying to shift at least to throwing has been revolutionary. And just representing Jamaica on the Olympic stage, carrying that flag has been really awesome. I'm extremely grateful for that.
I love that. That is very special, that obviously not very many people get to do. And like I said, again, I love hearing those stories about you guys getting opportunity to represent your country and your sport that you've spent your whole life invested in. And that's just such an honor for you. So that I'm so glad that you got to experience that. Okay, so tell me a little bit about you guys and just how you got together. And you guys have been married a couple of years now, is that correct?
Yes, we have. I can take this one. So when he was at Arizona State, I like telling the story, but when he was at Arizona State, I was being recruited there. So his freshman year, I was getting recruited. And so on my unofficial visit to Arizona State, we met. And he's super quiet. If you can't tell, he's pretty quiet and reserved. And so it was a very simple, like, hi, I'm Maggie. And it was like fist bump, Ralford, COVID. It was COVID. And so it was very much like short interaction, but the coach that was his coach, we knew him as like my parents were friends with him for a long time. And I just remember he was talking so highly about Ralford. Like we were having lunch and he was talking about how like so highly about him, and then followed each other on Instagram and kind of started talking a little bit, connected. And then it kind of went on from there. And when he was transferring from Arizona State to Arkansas, there was a chance for him to come see me in Oklahoma, and he came and spent some time with the family and then started dating, and it was kind of history from there. So
that's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you ended up in Oklahoma and now you guys have a cute little love story. But I love that because you just never know who you're going to meet and when you're going to meet them. That's for sure. So that's a good story, a good example of that for sure. Well,
yeah, absolutely.
I love your dynamic as a couple because I like to talk to people. My husband's a little more reserved. And so when I started doing my podcast, so my husband actually graduated from Oklahoma State.
Okay.
And so, yeah. So I told him, I said, hey, I want to do a Bedlam episode with you and talk about Bedlam basketball from last year and all this. And he was like, I don't want to come on your podcast. And I just basically was like, hey, you're going to do this. Okay. So anyway, it's kind of funny what our men will do for us because they love us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's hilarious. They got to even us out, you know.
Yes. Okay, so tell me, what are you guys looking for this coming season? Some of your aspirations and hopes for the team, for yourself individually, just some things maybe you're looking forward to this coming spring.
Yeah, absolutely. I keep it very simple. I go day by day. So first and foremost, just to get better every single day, not to regress as a thrower and as a person, just become a better person. But two, if I do get better every day, in the end, it will take care of itself. I will
absolutely
achieve my goals. I will, hopefully defend my title, go to make another team, hopefully win that meet. But yeah, first and foremost, just get better every single day, become a better person, and, continue to chase the Lord.
Absolutely. Love that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I just want to continue to get better and build. And if I do that and I get better every day, then like he said, like I'll achieve what I want to achieve and it'll be great. But I look forward to, sophomore year, freshman year is such a learning experience. Everything's new. Obviously, I competed at big meets in high school, but it's not quite the same as stepping into SEC. So I'm looking forward to competing with a season under my belt and to progress and build on that freshman year and try to really out and have a good year this year. So that's kind of my goals.
Awesome. Well, I am very excited for you guys and to follow you. Of course, this season I have a few names of people to follow individually, so that will be fun. I don't know a lot about track and field. I am very ignorant. But I'm very thankful Coach Thomas invited me to come to practice a couple months ago. So I got to check out some stuff there. And I'm planning to come, like I said, to a couple of meets and follow you guys. And I can meet you guys in person. And I'm looking forward to it and looking forward to following you guys for sure. So I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. Yeah. If you come, you definitely come up and we'll have to talk and get a picture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I don't want to cut you guys short or anything. So if there's anything specific that you want to talk about or share. Okay. Well, I wanted to hear your stories of course, both of you, how you ended up at Oklahoma. So we touched on that. And then, like I said, I enjoyed hearing your story of how you two got together. And then talk a little bit about your accomplishments. But I appreciate you guys giving me part of your time. It truly means so much to me. And like I said, I enjoyed hearing your stories, just learning about your sport, learning a lot about track and field. And I'm looking forward to following you guys this spring for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
Of course.